Miss Louise Zimmerman was my first grade teacher, and she was wonderful. And so I guess I wasn't a great student. You're asking me a question that probably has very little historical value, but I do remember she was just excellent, and there was others in grammar school, Ms. Turner, Ms. Ross, Ms. Cantrell. These are names that taught out there a long time. Ms. Junior high, Ms. James and Ms. Fields and Ms. Maples and on and on. But I guess the ones that really, I never was a real good student, but I loved to my dad's dismay, I took no liking in engineering type professions. I hated science, hated biology, hated math, calculus, all of that. But I loved what's, I guess in college would be referred to as liberal arts. I always loved history, always loved English, always loved any kind of composition. And that's where I guess I was really blessed at Loudon High. I was in the first freshman class at the new Loudon High. And Mrs. Naomi Arp, really, if you wanted to learn about, in her class, if you really wanted to learn the proper skills,
grammar,
that she was great at that. And I didn't know until recently, some of y'all told me that she actually taught at Jackson School, I guess prior to that. Mrs. Blanche Watkins instilled a lot of discipline, and I don't mean paddling, although I'm sure that could have been part of the formula, but she seemed to be quite the disciplinarian, but she expected you to fulfill your ability. Ms. Carolyn Bledsoe, also in that vein. I guess I had her more in Latin, I believe, and I liked that. We had the Junior Classical League. We got to dress up in togas and things, and that was a good diversion from learning. But then probably Edward Headley, I would say, when it came to having a head start when I went to the University of Tennessee, Edward Headley, the things that we learned in composition and in literature were phenomenal. I mean, to this day, I can quote the prologue to Canterbury Tales. Now, maybe a lot of people have. That may be standard, but Edward saw that you could recite, one that upper law with the surest suit of the druth of march as pierced to the root, and bathed every vein as swish liqueur, of which virtue engendered is the fluor. I don't know what that means in that old English, but we had to memorize it. And but the most important trait, and I got this from all of those teachers, was when you do a talk or you compose a theme, was doing a good outline and being organized. Don't just start writing, which would have been my natural. I'm such an ad-libber and full of it, and can talk about anything and talk too much about anything. But they said, no, you need to have an outline. You need to have an introduction. You need to have an A and a B and a C, and then at least 2 points, 1 and 2 to each A, B, and C, and then you need to have a conclusion. And hopefully the conclusion reinforces the introduction that you wrote. And I took that to heart. And I think Edward probably, Ms. Watkins and Ms. Arp and Edward Headley all, I can remember to this day when freshman composition at University of Tennessee, and that was something Edward said, just keep it simple. And if you can show that you're an authority on it, then your finished product will be even better. And I
go into your sports career at Loudon High School. You were on the 1969 state championship team. What are your memories of that season?
Great memories. I don't think you can say that I had a sports career. Is it going out? Okay. I don't know that I could say I had personally a sports career. I was very fortunate in sports to have teammates that were excellent, and of course have great coaches, and that was in basketball, track, and football. But of course, Coach Burt Jig Ratledge was our head coach, and he was assisted. I didn't play as a sophomore. I didn't, and I basically sat on the bench as a junior, and we were doing the old traditional type of high school football. Two halfbacks and a fullback, and if you were an end, you played end on offense and defense. If you were a tackle, you played the same position, offense and defense. But our Coach Ratledge and his assistants, Buddy Wendell and Gary Dutton, went out and in the summer of 1969 and implemented a tremendous system of triple option, both the Houston Veer and the Texas Wishbone, along with a 4-4 defense, 4 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and 3 defensive backs. Another unique thing was the double punt return. Gordo Watson and Lonnie Hawkins would run, and I just think we were so far ahead of everybody else that with that plan. And so I was a wide receiver, or what they called a split end back then, but Brad Gray and Bud Guider and I were the ends, and our job was basically to run down the field and take a man out of the play, because we had those great running backs, Lonnie Hawkins, Yancey Hampton, Kenny Parks, and Gordo Watson as the option quarterback. Had really fast linemen. The last 2 years we were in school, Dwayne Art put in a track team just because he saw the speed on the football team, and he had linemen like Mike Scrimsher and Dickie Blankenship running sprints and high hurdles and whatnot. Had Brad Gray was the long snapper on the team, and he was ran the 100-yard dash and the high hurdles. It was phenomenal, the speed that the line had, that everybody on the team. And I know Gary Dutton's. I remember at Bill Napier's funeral, he was standing there at the Presbyterian Church, just going on about to all of his old friends that had moved away about how fast that team was. I never felt I was fast, but we played what to this day would be the big schools, even though we were a AA school. It was the first year of the playoffs, and we beat AAA schools like McMinn County,
Cleveland,
Everett. We beat some of those teams. We beat Everett, which is, I guess, would have been the equivalent of Heritage High today, or William Blount, and we beat them something like 48-6. Clinton was a huge school. That was before they had an Anderson County to split up the population. We beat them 30 points or more. We were, by today's standards, when you can beat Alcoa and Maryville, and we did so, and they were great teams back then. We beat them. We were undefeated. It was not a huge playoff system. Then you played 2 games, and we went to Knox South. The Knoxville Sentinel, Knoxville Journal predicted that Knox South would beat us by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and that would be the end of the Loudon streak. We went up there to Evans Collins Field, and their star running back, Steve Chansey, many people will tell you this, Jake Lane hit him on the first play and knocked his mouthpiece out and jolted him pretty good, and that was the end. He didn't do much the rest of the game, to the point that our young sophomore back, Yancey Hampton, had a great game, scored a couple of touchdowns, intercepted a pass or 2, and our fans, as they left Knoxville, were shouting, Chansey. We thought it was Yancey. So we won that game 28-0, the semifinals. At that time, you didn't go to Nashville or Murfreesboro or Chattanooga for the state championship. They played at the team with the best record. We were undefeated, so Humboldt came from West Tennessee to play in Loudon. And the town of Loudon had never had anything like this, and the businessmen in town and tried to put on a big deal, tried to host this West Tennessee team, Humboldt, from Gibson County, put them up at the old Fort Loudon Hotel, which not a luxury hotel by any means. I think they took them up to Jake Littleton's restaurant and fed them a hamburger, and then gave them as a memento of Loudon a pair of socks from our bacon hosiery mill. And then we beat them 30-0 and sent them back to West Tennessee. So we were fortunate to, I guess, go the semifinals and the finals of the championship game. We essentially beat our 2 opponents. What's the math? 58-0 in score. Didn't let either team score on us. And the 2 points at the end, I claim credit. Wayne Poole and I tackled their quarterback in the end zone. Wayne really did it, and I just fell on him. So I claim that I had 1 point. But that was a tremendous experience.
Sure.
At the end of that game, some of the businessmen came out on the field. We got the trophy. They gave us our jerseys, and in the locker room, they came in and said, "Well, we're sending the team to the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida, putting you on a bus and taking you down there." And I'll never forget, J.L. Millsap said, "Who are we playing?" and he was ready to line up and do it again. We had a great time in Jacksonville, but most of us, the guys, still have our state championship jackets and jerseys and pictures and whatnot, and so it was a tremendous experience.
Yeah.
I just can't say, and the friends that we get to go back every 5 years and get introduced on the field, and it's an honor.
Lifelong friends.